Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast.
Cody has arranged for us to have an expert on the Chaga bug that has been wreaking havoc in South Texas, I guess, on hound or dogs in general, right, Cody?
Yeah, they've been around for a long time. They're just getting worse. And but they're also making their way further north. And it'll be really interesting to talk to Bob to see how far north he's getting some of these reports. But yeah, they're bad. I'm at 4 dogs in the last year lost to Chagas disease.
Someone I posted this live somewhere, and someone got on there and commented that he lost half his pack.
That was Dace.
Oh
yeah, Dace lost a bunch of dogs last year or year before. I mean, every South Texas hunter has lost some dogs from it, and not just hound hunters. You know, it's deer dog guys. They're starting to get it, and it's moving north. It's moving north. It's coming y'all's way, unfortunately.
You think it'll stay out of the high country? You thinking it's just going to be in hot weather? Dry?
That'll be a good question.
Oh yeah, I forgot Bob's coming up.
Bob is he's the expert, not me. Brett might have mixed that up a little bit. I study things for 2 days and then I become an expert.
Yeah. What is it? Internet education? PhD?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's born 100 years, Brett. That's who
that's who I sent it to.
Link is from?
Yeah. Tell him just click on that, and it should take him right to this little panel I got right here. Yeah, the picture of
Bob.
The picture of those bugs. I mean, I've seen them before, and I think I've seen them on. I think you said that they like melons or something. And it seems like I've seen them in a pumpkin patch or something like that.
Yeah, they like squash and pumpkins, watermelons, and stuff like that.
Is it like? I wonder if it's different varieties of them. That.
Can you try that again, Brett? He said he got it, but it disappeared or something.
Okay, sure.
I don't know.
It disappeared.
That's called deleted. You hit the wrong button.
Yeah.
Probably thought it was.
Yeah, that's boys aren't the most technical savvy guys around, so you'll have to excuse us.
That's what we get for messing with Texans.
So what you been doing there, Cody? Anything exciting?
Yeah. But, I mean, not in a couple of weeks. I went hunting this weekend. I caught four bobcats. That's the first time I hunted in a few weeks, letting the dogs kind of heal up from the jaguar hunt, which was pretty cool. And but it took us out of commission for a few weeks. The dogs and myself had some healing up to do. I got caught in a rock slide, and it was pretty bad. Jaguar hunting is not for the faint of heart. I can tell you that.
Probably have
It's
some pretty good
Western.
stories to tell, don't you?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a lifelong dream fulfilled. And I don't know that I care if I ever see another one of them spotted bastards again. They're pretty rough, man.
How bad? How I've always heard about their roar. How bad is their roar?
So when I went leopard hunting with Gavin over in Africa last year, um, we didn't catch a big male. But we did, one of the big females that we caught on the ground roared a little bit, but nothing like that jaguar did. I mean, that jaguar was the big tom. The one we caught was about a 50-pound kitten. We just put it in a hole. And we left it in the cave. But the next day we caught about 170-pound tom, and he didn't want a tree, he didn't want to run. All he wanted to do was fight.
Nothing. He was the king of the jungle.
Yeah, there's a big old tree that had fallen down, and them dogs had him bait on the ground. If I'd have had my phone, it'd have been the best footage ever filmed. And that jaguar backed over that tree, and he had both of his front legs up on the trunk of that tree. And them dogs were all baying him, and he was just bouncing up and down, shaking that entire tree, going roar, 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 growling at them. And you're sitting there holding a machete in your hand, like I don't know if I want to walk over there or not.
I'm a little underpowered here.
That's
Didn't they
exactly
say
right.
that MGM Studios? You remember the ones that have the lion that roars in the beginning? That's a jaguar roaring, not a lion.
Oh, really?
I think I read some. I'll have to look it. I'll look it up. I'm pretty
we got Mr. Bob Glass.
The lion's mouth moves.
Do what was
Good
that?
evening, guys.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Tell me, how does a man become a chaga bug expert?
By default. Nobody else wants
it. Where are you located at, Bob?
I'm about 40 miles east of Austin.
Oh, okay. And
so between Austin,
So, I mean, what do you do as a chaga bug expert?
Well, we have my company, Pan American Vet Labs, is a veterinary diagnostic laboratory, and we deal with a number of different diseases, from sheep and goats to cattle and horses and dogs, and a whole variety, a whole spectrum of animals. And we generally deal with the more neglected diseases. There's less competition.
And like neglected, what would you consider neglected diseases?
Well, Chagas is one. It's been around here since the 70s, and it's never been addressed very, very vigorously. Another disease that we deal with is pythium or pythiosis, which is almost a fungal-like disease, infects horses and dogs primarily, but can also infect humans.
I'll be dang. Well, we've heard Cody tell us about these chagas. Go ahead, Cody.
Go ahead, Brett.
Well, I was going to say, we've heard you talk about the chagas, and I'd never heard of it before. Up here, of course, I'm up in a real arid area of New Mexico, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But the way Cody talks says they might be moving everywhere. So, what do you say?
Well, I can tell you that in the last 5 or 6 years, since we've been testing an increasing number of kennels, just about everywhere we test, we find it. Now, then that's mostly Texas and mostly south of Austin. But I mean, we're seeing around. I've got a guy coming tomorrow morning bringing me 20 or 30 dogs from Huntsville that he's had some dogs die, and we confirmed one case in his kennel last week.
Jeez.
So it's out there if you look for it.
Has it been around for many years, or is it something that's new?
Well, it's been around in humans for a long time. It's a very big human infection in South America, Brazil. The institute in Brazil, the Cruz Institute, is probably the best research place in the world for it, and they have probably millions of people in South America that have the infection. And as we get more people coming from and through Central and South America, we're seeing more human cases here in those immigrants all the time.
But the people are bringing it here?
Yeah, they're infected. Many times they're infected before they get here. But this disease has been here. When I went through a medical laboratory school back in the 70s, they talked about it. Now, what they said is you'll probably never see it, but I've seen it here in Texas. I've seen it in humans, in dogs, in horses, and in monkeys.
Wow. Well, how is it? How does it? How's the transmission? How is it transferred? Or
okay, there is a bug that gets infected, and then when that bug bites a human, they can transmit the infection through the bite. They don't actually inject the Chagas bug into the human. What they do is when this bug bites, it starts on your arm. I don't know if you can see. He'll start here in the middle of the night when you don't feel it. He'll start here and he'll bite every inch or so going up your arm. Well, so his first bite is here, and when he goes to the second bite, 1 inch puts his ass right on the first bite, and he takes a crap every time he takes a bite. So as he goes up his arm, he can be seeding that organism directly into those bites, and in the middle of the night when you get them, you rub them or scratch them, and you get the bug that way.
So
that's how it happens in humans.
It's transmitted through his crap.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, be damn.
You can actually say
there's a
crappy bug.
Rick Cooley wanted to know. It's the kissing bug. It's also called the kissing bug.
Yeah. Yes.
Last year, Kentucky had a drought. Go ahead.
Okay, so the scientific name is Reduviad. And if you can look them up, you can get pictures of them. I encourage anybody who's listening in or who looks at this thing, become familiar with the bug. If you see those bugs in your kennel, then you need to be concerned with Chagas disease. If you never see the bugs, and if you're far enough north, you may not. They're pretty much a tropical, warm weather bug. But like I say, there's plenty of good pictures of them on the internet. You can see them, and you can clearly tell those bugs when you see them. And one of the things that we can do is if you catch a bug, there you go. If you catch a bug in your kennel, put it in something, a Ziploc bag or something. Don't let it bite you. Put it in a Ziploc bag and send it to me, and I can check it and see if it has, if it's infected.
How?
So not all of those bugs are infected?
No, not all Reduviad bugs are infected. But the hard thing is you don't know which one is and which one isn't.
So how far north have you found them? Or found the disease?
In Oklahoma. We have found infected bugs into the middle of Oklahoma, Alabama, Louisiana for sure, Alabama. We've not, and the thing is, we've not tested farther north than that. So we don't know how far north it goes. Although I don't think it's going to go really far. The really cold winters are going to kill it. Here, it's going to live it especially likes to live in houses or in a dog kennel during the wintertime because it's going to stay warm, and they get easy blood meal there.
Cody, tell us your experience with it.
Yeah. So, throughout my 20 years of being a bobcat hunter, I've heard about it a time or two, and it was just always one of those kind of, like Bob said, neglected diseases. Everybody knows somebody, but it's never happened to me. And started hearing it more and more and more and more. And I lost, one thing that kind of makes this disease hard to, uh, hard for Bob to do his job is a lot of the times you just walk outside and there's a year and a half old dog laying in the kennel dead. And I mean, you're not going to take it to the vet. I'm not going to take it to the vet. You're going to go bury the dog and go about your business. And then one of three things can happen. It seems like my experience has been: number one, sudden death in the dog. You just wake up and the dog's dead. Number two, the dog gets sick and retains a lot of fluid in his belly. And basically, as far as hunting purposes go, the dog is ruined. Or number three, the dog gets Chagas, has Chagas its entire life. You never know it. The dog never knows it. Who knows? And with those three options, it makes it pretty difficult. Bob came to my kennels and tested 16 dogs, and 15 of them were positive. He later came back 2 months later, and the 16th dog was now positive. But it doesn't affect all the dogs. Just because the dog has Chagas doesn't mean the dog's going to get sick, and it doesn't mean the dog's going to die. There's a lot of Chagas positive dogs. In fact, I would say, and Bob could talk about the numbers, but I would say the majority of Chagas positive dogs never have any issues at all. I had 16, 17 dogs. Do what, Bob?
I'm sorry. That's absolutely true, not only in dogs, but also in people. We find that 75 to 80% of the people that give you a positive blood test, in other words, they have antibodies. They've seen the bug, their body has responded to it, and they've got antibodies. But 75 to 80% of dogs and people appear to never develop active disease.
What is it? Okay. What does it do to people?
Same thing. Yeah. What this bug does is when it gets in your bloodstream, and for a couple of weeks it circulates in your blood, and then it just sort of disappears. And what it does, though, when it disappears, it moves into the tissues, and it likes the tissues of the esophagus, the heart, the intestinal wall. It migrates and hides in there. But it appears that the dog's immune response, in some cases, is an allergic type response. So now you have this bug in the heart, and the dog is having an allergic reaction to that bug, and that's what kills them. For the ones that develop a different type of immunity that's not allergic, they tolerate it. You don't have that allergic reaction, so it doesn't do harm.
And I mean,
what's the symptoms? What's the symptoms? Like, why would people get tested? Is there some sort of symptoms, like cold symptoms, or?
They will start to have heart problems. It's usually an extended period after they get exposed. After they get infected, it may be a year, 5 years, or 20 years, and when they start having heart problems. And in humans, it's generally recognized heart problems are considered the most important symptom of this. And so they start having heart issues, and there you go.
States where Chagas bugs have been found.
Yeah, that's where the bugs have been found. But does that say if they are infected or?
No, this is just the bugs. It has nothing.
The bugs itself. But the fact is, if you've got the bugs there, that means you've got the means of transmission.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I mean, if there are people listening in tonight that have kennels in some of those northern tier states there, I would love to talk to you about getting some blood samples and just see. We can run the antibody test and just see if any dogs have been exposed. And it would give us a much better idea of how widespread the Chagas disease is.
Well, when you say, I'm still stuck on the people thing. I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
Heart problems. What kind of heart conditions? Does it?
Yeah, you'll get an arrhythmia. Your heart will have an odd rhythm to it. You'll get.
I got the Chaga disease.
Chris got Chagas disease.
There's lots of things that can cause heart issues. Okay, don't go running. Don't get too wild here.
Brett, send in a sample.
Hey, we test people's sample also.
Well, I had an ablation earlier this year because of AFib, because of a heart problem. A
blockage.
No blockage. I had no blockage. It was we'll go with the history. Years ago, I had what they call Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, and it was just extra electrical pathways in my heart, and they had to go in my heart and laser them. And then this last, almost a year ago, right now, they had I started having arrhythmias again, where my heart was screwing up. It was off beat, and they said it was basically the same thing. It was some electrical pathways that were short circuiting my heart. So went in, had the same thing done again. They didn't say anything to me about a Chaga bug though.
Yeah. Well, I would think that on average, anybody going to any doctor in the United States, the chances that they're going to think about Chagas disease is very low, because they don't see it, and if they do see it, they don't recognize it.
Sure.
Can you ask them to test for it, and then they know how? Will they know how to test for it mostly?
They'll have to look it up. But yeah, they can get a test run. The doctors can find a place to get a test run.
Looks like a visit to Texas.
At this point, I'm sorry?
I said it looks like a visit for Brett to go to Texas. Get his blood drawn.
I was going to go down there and do some filming. Now I'm kind of having second thoughts.
If you'll film it to put it on YouTube, I'll come up and take the blood sample for you, Brett.
Hey, I'll come over there and film it.
Yeah.
Y'all are good. I'm having heart pains right now.
It's like when someone mentions lice, everybody scratches their head.
Hey, we had a question. How do you kill it? Is there a way to prevent the bug from getting in your kennels or around your house or your place?
There are, and Cody can address that, because he's doing it right now. And I think Patrick Keller's probably listening tonight. He told me he was going to be. He's got a good program at his place also.
Cody?
Yeah, we've been putting poison out. I know several people that so these bugs are attracted to light sources. I mean, it's the kind of bug that you see on your porch at nighttime when you have your light on. And I know several people that have artificial light, couple 100 yards from their kennels in barrels with water and poison in it
to attract them.
Because the bugs are, and that's one thing that's very important. Two things, and I'm fixing to get into the realm of opinion a little bit, but Royce Blosky is the one that told me this, and I agree with him 100%. But that fecal matter is what carries that disease. I'm a firm believer that the water buckets in our kennels is what's spreading this, because these bugs are not biting. I've seen them bite dogs. I really have. But, you know, I don't think, I think the bugs are crapping in the water bucket.
They're shitting in the buckets.
Yeah. Roy Splosky switched all of his water buckets to liquors, and he hasn't had a problem since.
That's interesting. Ahead, there's another way they can get it, and that is if, you know, and with dogs, and we saw the same thing with monkeys. When that bug lands on them and starts to bite them, the dog will bite it and eat it. And we saw the same thing with the monkeys. Those bugs. I worked for the University of Texas, and we had this monkey colony out in the country, and we had a lady there who thought the monkeys needed fresh vegetables. So she planted a garden next to the monkey pens, and the reduviad bugs were feeding on the squash. And when they got ready for blood, they'd fly into the monkey cages and bite the monkeys. Well, the monkeys would just grab them and eat them. And we had 4 confirmed cases of Chagas disease in the monkeys.
Did it kill the monkeys?
Yes, one of them it did. I left there before the others died. But if you think about it, 75% we think don't really get sick. So 1 out of 4.
Yeah,
that's right on the number.
Yeah, and which
back
also
then, we
kind
didn't have
of
a blood test for it. Back then, all we could do was collect a blood sample and make a smear and spend sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours looking through a microscope trying to find one of the bugs in that animal's blood. And we developed a blood test for it about 10 years ago, and it works very well. We're really good with the blood test. Without patting myself on the back too hard. But,
well, that's good.
And in fact, one of the things that we're
those
one
numbers
of the things that
lined up very well with my kennels too. I had 17 dogs test positive for Chagas and lost 4. So it was about 25%.
Yeah. One of the things that we would like to do, I'm not sure how we're going to get it done yet, because we're small. As you can see, this is my lab. We're a small company. But we would like to make a test where the owner could take the thing that looks like a pregnancy test, put a drop of blood on it, and have an answer in 10 minutes.
If it changes colors or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would just like
you have some dogs test positive. What do you do then? What's the next step?
That's right now. You know, we have a treatment that we use. We use it in some other diseases, and it enhances the immune response, and it especially switches the immune response from allergy to non-allergy. We were talking earlier about the ones that get sick appear to have an allergic reaction. So if we can switch them from allergic to non-allergic immunity, it appears that, and we probably treated of animals that were symptomatic. I mean, these are dogs that were sick with Chagas disease. We've probably treated 20 of them, and 19 out of 20 have recovered and appear to be normal now. Unfortunately, Cody has the only one that hasn't completely responded yet.
Yeah.
Probably a good one.
Does it cure them or put it in suppression?
Well, that's a good question. It's really hard to know if they're cured, because right now what we have is the blood test for antibodies, and those we know will stay positive. I did a group down South Texas. We followed them for 18 months after the treatment, and the ones that were sick got better, but 18 months later they still had antibody. But if we just switch them from allergic to non-allergic, they may continue to be infected, but the infection's not going to hurt them, just like the other 75% that don't get hurt to start with.
Like my rest of my dog, I got Tina had over 1,000 antibodies per whatever your test was, and she's fine. It.
Mhm.
But one thing that I will say is one thing that I've noticed, or one thing that I've kind of in my research and been told and stuff. And a lot of it also maybe depends on how the Chagas disease can attack the dog in different ways. The what's the name of the bug? T. cruzi or
Yeah, Trypanosoma
Bob?
cruzi.
Yeah, that word.
I was gonna say.
They can attack the dog's intestines, or they can attack the dog's heart. So one
Right.
dog, it may only affect their intestines, but another dog, it may affect their heart, and the process leaves scar tissue behind. And that's maybe never going to get better. I'm sure there's just so many factors, how early you caught it. It has a lot of similarities in that way to the coronavirus that we went through. One
Yeah.
person would get it and keep going to work because he never even knew he had it, and the next person would fall over dead, and the next person would get sick for 2 weeks. So it was very hard to gain much knowledge on.
And with the coronavirus, we had the same issue. The people that got sick had an allergic immune response. Okay, people who got just kind of shrugged it off, they had a different type of immune response. And allergies, ragweed in and of itself doesn't hurt anything, but when your body responds to ragweed with an allergic reaction, man, it'll tear you up. And it's the same thing with a lot of diseases. If your body, and that's one of the things that you it's a little bit hard to understand, but if your body, when your body is presented with something foreign, the immune system tears it apart, down, looks at it and says, okay, we got to fight this. How are we going to do it? And they've got, there's like 5 different types of immunity. And if that body chooses an allergic immunity, and the allergic immunity is one of the oldest types of immunity, and it often doesn't kill the organism that's invading. Okay. But if the allergic response, if you get an allergic reaction to that bug in your heart, then it's the allergic reaction that kills you, not the bug itself.
Yeah. That makes perfect.
How many? I was just talking to people this weekend at the hound trials, and a guy was just telling me he had a 6-year-old dog that just walked out and was dead. And now you think, wow, what was that? How many houndsmen do you know that, or dog people in general, that said, man, I don't know, I just walked outside, he was dead.
I've had
happens all the time.
Yeah. I had one female that her belly did swell up, and I just thought, I thought it was her kidneys, honestly.
Kinsey Hollow says, does it affect?
I've seen bird dogs start getting excited, like be sleeping, and then walk into the kennels. And I've seen the bird dogs wake up and get all excited because they're fixing to go hunting, and you let them out of the kennel and they take off running, and then they just kind of fall over dead while they're running. I mean,
and that's the Chaga?
Yeah.
Well, what's really,
it's also tough too, because so many dogs, for example, I get a dog. So every dog in my kennel is Chagas positive now. All of them. And that dog, something happens to it and it gets sick. And you take that dog to the vet. The vet tests it for Chagas and says, oh, the dog's got Chagas. Let's give him this and this. And then it makes him better. and the vet says, "Oh, I cured Chagas disease." Well, no, you didn't. The dog had something else wrong with him, but he also happened to test positive for Chagas. The Chagas disease just didn't make him sick, which is another factor that makes
So
it very difficult.
I need to clarify this. You say every dog in your kennel has tested positive for Chagas. Go again. How exactly is it transmitted? Is it? I mean, I know you say that the beetle or whatever bites and then walks up and poops, or they poop in the water, or they do whatever. Is there any other way? I mean, once it's in your kennel, is it hard to get rid of, or?
Well, it's all a matter of controlling the bugs. Because the other thing to remember is if you get one dog in your kennel that gets infected, and let's set up a situation. Let's say you got 100 Chagas beetles, bugs in your visiting your kennel at night. Let's say one of them is infected. So he infects a dog. Now the other 99 are going to be feeding in that kennel all the time. If they take blood from that dog, then the bug gets infected. Okay. Now he can spread it to other dogs. So it's at this point, since there's no vaccine for this, there's no prevention that we know of. There may be prevention, but there's nothing documented yet. So the only way to prevent it that we know for sure works is to kill the bugs. Don't let them in your kennel.
Yeah. Which is why
so how does it spread? How does it spread from animal to animal? So if one dog gets it, how does it spread to another dog? Or do you keep, if you find out your dog has Chagas, do you separate it?
Oh, isolation.
The only thing, what you have to, it can't go from dog to dog. Okay, it has to go from dog to bug to dog.
Okay.
There's stages of the life cycle that only occur in the bug, and there are stages of the life cycle that only occur in the dog or in a warm-blooded animal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dogs or humans or monkeys, whatever. So they've got to pass it back and forth between the dog and the bugs. But every time, like I say, every time a bug bites or gets blood from an infected dog, there's a chance that that bug is going to become infected also.
And then what other? But Cody, you were saying it's in the water. So if another dog drinks the water, is that only because the bug was in the water, or if he? I mean, obviously he can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that I think that's probably theoretically possible. I think the odds, because if he takes a crap, which is like one drop, and he's in a 55-gallon drum that's half full of water, the dilution factor is so great that the chances of the dog getting it is probably pretty small. It's certainly possible, but it's also possible to get hit by lightning, and it doesn't happen too often. I think the bite and eating the bug are probably more likely.
Yeah, very so.
What does the future look like as far as a vaccine? Is there some work being done on that?
I'm in contact with the folks in Brazil at the Oswaldo Cruz Foundation, and we have some very tenuous discussions about my ideas of a vaccine. And again, my idea is not to prevent the infection as much as to set that dog up or that person so that they have a non-allergic immunity established. If you've got and that's the thing to remember about this. So the first time that a dog or a human gets exposed to Chagas, they're going to change immunity. Okay, if we can make them choose non-allergic immunity, then I think there's a chance that we may not prevent infection, but we can prevent disease. And the fact of the matter is, with most of these disease, if you can have a low level infection that induces a beneficial immunity, voila, that's where you want to be.
Sure.
So
you can get the disease, but you won't get sick from it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
let's face it. Everybody gets the measles. Used to. Everybody got the measles, and we got over it, and you didn't get them again. It's the same general idea.
Well, if it was up
Bob,
to
can a Chagas positive Jip pass it to her puppies?
Oh, good question. And I'm afraid the answer is yes. Because
really?
the Chagas disease for some period of time is in the bloodstream. And actually, we're doing something interesting now. We are, because the reagents, the stuff I need in the laboratory to do Chagas research is friggin' expensive. I mean, I'm talking one vial. I'll show you an empty vial, but one vial like this that has that much stuff in it that made from a Chagas organism cost me about $5,000.
Jeez.
And to do my research, I need about 3 or 4 of those a month. Well, I'm sorry, I can't afford that.
Is there funding available anywhere that you can apply for this kind of research?
I don't do government funding. I just don't.
I can understand.
Funding here comes out of Bob's back pocket. Okay, but what I do now, I can actually grow the organism here in my lab, and I can make the thing that goes in this tube for about what would cost me $5,000 to buy. I can make for about $25. I can buy and do the work for $25. But an outgrowth of that is I'm now isolating trypanosome organisms from these dog samples that we're getting in. For dogs that are symptomatic, I can take a part of that blood sample that I get and put it in a culture media that I've developed. And in about 48 to 72 hours, you can look at that under the microscope and you can see the bugs swimming in there.
Wow.
And I actually will be having a conversation with Centers for Disease Controls in a week or less to discuss a collaboration with them, because they're saying, if we could do that on human samples, and now these people that we know they've got antibody, but we don't know if they have active disease. And now if we can take this protocol that I've developed and use that in humans as well as dogs, if it works, that would be a big step forward in terms of identifying people that are infected and sick versus infected and not, because there's no organisms. And the ones that are normal, there's going to be little or no organisms in there.
Now the people, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the biggest issue with Chagas disease in people's in South America, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It is by far.
I mean, it's pretty big deal.
Chagas, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal down there. But Chagas is only one of several trypanosome diseases. In Africa, there are 3 or 4 other diseases from trypanosomes in the same family of bugs as the Trypanosoma cruzi, the Chagas bug. So the applications for what we're doing may be broader than just here in South America.
So what does it cost to get the dogs tested?
$35.
35.
Was there a way to get money to you? Did you already say that? I got a phone call. Do you have like a
You
GoFundMe
mean
or
like-
anything?
There was a
No, we're I don't like spending people's money. I'd rather do something to earn it. So if people want to get dogs tested, I can do okay with that. So I'm too old to worry about getting rich anymore. So
I mean, it's
Tell
not
us
about
about
getting
your
rich. It'd be nice.
Vaccine,
Go ahead, Cody.
Bob, and as far as giving it to dogs as a preventative measure or anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to give you my idea of how you make a Chagas vaccine. You take this stuff that I make in my lab, the proteins from the Chagas organism. So I grow them up, and then I sonicate them and just break them all to hell into little pieces. Okay. Now then I take some of those little pieces and I mix that with my immunomodulator that establishes non-allergic immunity. So now if you take a dog that's never been exposed and you vaccinate them with that, can you set up a permanent non-allergic type immunity? That's my idea for me. And I don't know yet if it will work, but I've got some indications, in these dogs that we're treating that are already sick. If we can turn them around, then I think we have a good chance to be able to take dogs that are not exposed, give them that combination of Chagas proteins and the immunomodulator, and establish an immunity that makes them immune to the disease, if not the infection.
We have a question that says, can cattle get it?
I see no reason why they couldn't. Okay, I've not seen a case in a cow, but I have. Texas A&M confirmed a case in a horse about a year ago, and I've been told that they've confirmed infections in coyotes. I'm not sure how that happened, but that's a good question. I should ask my folks in Brazil if they've seen it in cattle in Brazil. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Are there any other people besides you working on this? What happens if you are suddenly not able to continue your efforts?
There's a vet down not too far from us, south of us, that is working on he's doing a lot of work with Chagas disease, and I'm doing some work with him. I think his treatment approach is different. It's more of a conventional.
Travis class.
Hang on. Hey, let me call you right back.
That's a heck of a ringer.
I just got a call. I got a call too just a second ago.
Yeah, so his treatment is a different type of treatment, and we're actually starting to do stuff now where we're using both his treatment, and his treatment has shown some success. Okay, and so now we're looking at doing a combination of his treatment and my treatment, and since they are from two completely different directions, we have some hope that they will be effective together.
Yeah.
Any more questions you see up there?
In terms of other people working on this disease, not certainly. There's nobody else I know of that's working on it in dogs. There is some through the federal agencies. There is some effort in humans, and like I say, we'll be talking to some folks at CDC in the next week to see about doing some sort of a collaboration on and improving the diagnostic capability.
Well, and it's going to have to get prevalent enough to where it's, getting town dogs, pets,
Yeah, foo-foo dogs.
Before it. Yeah.
Well, and they're seeing that.
Cody,
for anybody else.
The folks at Texas A&M University have done a a fairly good about work in dogs, but I don't think they're as active in it now. I think the lady who was doing that has moved to Florida, so I think maybe it's not as active a program now as what it was. And Baylor College of Medicine down in Houston was doing some work on it also. But again, I don't see a lot of movement there. I should say I don't see it. That doesn't mean it's not happening.
I don't. Was it already answered? But when was it discovered? I mean, how long ago has it been in the States?
Yeah. Well, it was originally described, I think, back in the late 800s, early 1900s in Brazil. A doctor named Osvaldo Cruz, and now we have the Osvaldo Cruz Foundation, which is in Brazil, that is the leading research institution for Trypanosoma cruzi. The bug is named after him. So, but here in the United States, I'd say I've heard about it in the 70s when I was in school. I saw it in the 80s. I saw it in the 90s, and now we're seeing lots of it.
So it's the research seems so it started in humans. Did they find it first in humans, and that's why they worked on it?
Yeah, and in fact, when I talk to the folks in Brazil, they don't even talk about looking at dogs. It's not,
they could
their concern is humans, But what they don't, wake up, because if dogs are infected at the rate that we think they are, and they're the reservoir of infection. Because that bug that feeds on a dog tonight and gets infected and feeds on a human tomorrow night is, that's where they get it from. They're probably, if there's 5 million people in Brazil infected with this bug, there's probably 20 million dogs or more. Yeah. And so, the source of infection for the bugs is more likely a dog than it is a human.
So Cody asked if a pregnant gyp but if you breed a male to a female and the male has it, will he pass that along to the female while they're breeding?
I don't know on that. When the male injects the semen, there is blood cells in it, and the trypanosomes travel with the blood cells, not in them, but in the same space. So theoretically, I would say it's possible. I don't know that it's been confirmed. The other thing in humans, a big concern is in blood transfusions, because if you get a transfusion from somebody who has Chagas disease, there's a very good chance you're going to get it. Very good chance. So in Brazil and in a lot of South America, testing blood at the blood bank is mandatory.
I feel like if we're talking about dogs, but it seems like a pretty serious problem with humans, but even in dogs, I feel like you have to, down in your guys' area, it's almost like if you're going to breed or do anything you have to get them tested first before you start, because then you're just going to keep breeding it into it, right?
Yeah. Well, again, the breeding, the transmission with the semen, or transmission, when in utero for the bitch having with pups inside her, we know that it can happen. How often it happens is much more difficult to put a number on. So I think,
and you're also more than likely breeding a gyp that has an immune response to Chagas, or she would be sick or dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. That's the right immune response. But one of the things that we don't know, and there's no good way to test it now, is so you have a dog that gets exposed, and if he's going to get sick, how long before his immune system could be tested to say, okay, yeah, this one's got an allergic immunity going on. You got to be careful with this one. Is that a week, a month, a year? We don't know. I spent about 6 months on a project trying to develop a way to tell if a dog is having an allergic immunity to Chagas or non-allergic. And the data was not real. It wasn't very definitive. So I don't know yet whether that, and it's a very complicated process. So I don't know but that's something that is probably going to be a key to being able to actually diagnose infection versus disease.
So when you test them and they have Chagas, can you tell in the blood if they're having an allergic reaction?
No.
Just by,
no. No, at this point you cannot. But I just thought about, Cody, that's something we need to try. We'll talk to you about it later. But there may be another avenue for checking for an allergic immunity.
Yeah.
Well, that popped in. Yeah. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Man, that's that. You're leaving us on like a suspense.
Yeah, I was going to say
right now. That's like you're gonna have to come back on.
We don't have no top secret stuff going on here.
We gotta get credit.
All right. So let me tell you my idea. Okay, you've all signed confidentialities, right?
We probably won't understand anyway.
Yeah. Okay. No, you have to sign an NDA.
Have you ever been tested for tuberculosis where they put that little thing on your arm and you wait 24 48 hours and it makes a reaction?
Yeah.
That may work for this also. So I could take the antigens that I'm making and we inject it in some of your dogs. Reba being a good one, if it works, Reba should be positive. She should give you a reaction. The others that are not sick, they may give you no reaction.
We're going to split it 4 ways.
Can we call this the Monday night live test or something?
I'm sorry.
So, Bob, if there's a houndsman or a bird dog guy or a deer dog guy or a whatever dog guy listening right now, and he says, I want to test my dogs, how would you want for them to get a hold of you?
The best way is go to our website. Yeah, a website.
What's your website?
Go to the website, pavlab.com, so pavlab.com. The company name is Pan American Veterinary Laboratory. So take the first letter of each one and make the last one lab. So pavlab.com. Find it?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And that's going to be the best way.
It would also be beneficial.
I'm sorry?
It would be beneficial for people to send some samples out for testing. And it would help us get an idea, or help Bob and others get an idea of where exactly this disease is.
Boy, that would be great.
Because
that would be great.
Y'all may not have it prevalent like we do in South Texas, but it may still be there.
Yeah.
Cody, you're talking about hunt dogs, but all these show dogs, working dogs, cattle dogs, even these little, what this guy calls it, the poo-poo dogs that are in these shows. I mean, I'm sure there's a big community. There's a huge community of dogs, not just hounds or bird dogs, but I'm talking
any
collies, cattle dogs.
Any substantial amount of time outside.
Yeah. I will say this. It appears to me that when you have dogs in a kennel, they are more likely to pass it around. Okay? You have more dogs, you have more bugs, you have more, more of that going on. So kennels to me, I mean, if you have one dog who sits on mama's lap all the time, he's not likely to get bit by one of those bugs. But in a kennel situation, you know, it's more prevalent.
Gotcha.
Do we got any more questions out there from guys? Did you see any good questions, Chris?
He's asking about a lab in San Angelo. Is there a big vet lab in San Angelo?
There used to be a veterinary vaccine lab in San Angelo. If
there anybody
got bought out by?
Is there anybody else working on it besides just you and that other guy that you know of, besides Brazil, like across the United States, out of Texas?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I only know of two. Well, Texas A&M University said they had a program. I don't know how active it is now. And Dr. Madigan down in South Texas and myself are the only people I know of that are active in dogs. Now, you know, CDC and probably other federal labs are more active in research for human applications.
I feel like in general we don't have it here in Oregon. They got a lot of water in Oregon. It's not real dry.
But they do in South Texas too.
Yeah, depends on the side of the mountains you're on.
Well, did you see that comment where they said the thoroughbred people out of Kentucky were buying hay out of Texas, and they got those kissing bugs over there? So, I mean, that could be a possibility too, you know.
Yeah. I mean, this, you know, these days, you know, a bug could be here today and in who knows where tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, we had a new disease. Another animals that we work with is rabbits. And there was a new disease introduced in the rabbit population about 2.5 years ago. Came into Washington State through an island and jumped to the mainland. And now it's in like, I don't know, half the state in the United States. It got into the wild population and it just, but a lot of it, there's a lot of speculation that those rabbits, there was a big rabbit show in Washington State, and rabbits went there and left there and went all over the United States. And you know, now we've got that disease everywhere.
Rabbit show.
Man, you haven't lived till you've been to the National Rabbit Show.
I was going to say.
You have 25,000 rabbits in a room.
I was going to say, there's probably a lot of other things I'd rather do.
Be a good way to get a new disease, though.
What's that, Cody?
Putting 25,000 rabbits in one room would be a good way to get a disease spread across the country, though.
That's right.
So do mice get it?
We have the only vaccine for rabbits in the United States. Well, I take it back now. They have one for that new disease, the RH2. They have a vaccine for that that's produced in the United States now. But we have a vaccine for pneumonia in rabbits. That's the reason we go. We do some rabbit stuff.
Oh, so you did. I just have a hard time picturing that. I don't know why.
Yep.
So, do mice get it?
Rabbit people are. I'm sorry.
Do mice get it? You got a lot of mice.
Yes. Yep. Mice get it. In fact, a mouse is the preferred research model for Chagas disease.
Mice get it, but who cares?
Well, they're dogs. If it's in the there's always mice around kennels eating dog food and, or you know, so the dogs, it runs across, dog eats it.
Could he transmit that way? No, it's got to go from the bug to the dog, or from the bug to the mouse, or from the mouse to the bug. It's got to pass through the bug.
Gotcha.
There's nothing to say that the Reduviad bug can't bite a mouse and get infected that way, and vice versa. So,
yeah.
And these bugs are big. they're like an inch long or inch and a quarter long. I mean, it's a pretty big bug. Kind of looks like a stink bug in my opinion, but uh, it's a big bug, and you can imagine every little puppy that's running around is going to chase it across the yard and try to eat it, and I imagine that's how a lot of young dogs get infected with it.
So the best preventive way would be to just keep your eye out for those bugs and try to keep them killed out of your area.
Right. Yeah. And I don't even, at this point in my life, I don't even have a dog, but I have a damn light out to kill the bugs.
Yeah.
So what's the fastest, most efficient way once you see these bugs is to start killing them? Is there, as far as throwing down, someone asked if diatomaceous earth, will that work? Diatomaceous earth?
Well,
I
don't.
I do
I
know
don't think so.
I called the pest control guy and told him what I wanted to kill, and he made up a recipe and sprayed it around my kennels, and it's killing every beetle, and it it's killing a lot of stuff that I really wish it wasn't killing, but it is killing the Chagas bugs too. I found 2 or 3 dead ones this week.
Yeah, we did there's a ranch down not too far from you down there, Cody, that's owned by the guy who owns Orkin Exterminating. And when they had Chagas in their dogs, and they came in with some sort of a bug control program, and I mean they wiped them out. But I think they were spraying 200 yards around the kennel, farther than in fact what they did is they figured out how far the bugs could fly, and they sprayed out twice that far. So now then one of them leaves safe ground, he can't get to the kennel before he hits sprayed ground.
I wonder what unintended consequences there are from spraying that much poison around, though.
That's exactly right.
And it is a concern. One of the things that I haven't seen tried that I think would be interesting, there is a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis, that we use in the garden all the time because it's perfectly safe. You can spray it on your plants, and when the insects eat it, it blows up their guts. Basically, it produces a lot of gas, and it blows them up. But it doesn't have any impact on mammals. It only insects. So that may be something, and it's very short lived. I mean, you have to spray it every 2 weeks to keep it active. So.
Is there a reason that kissing bugs are the only bugs that carry this thing? I mean, is it because they're a blood-sucking bug?
It's part of it. I mean, it's just, you either believe in God or you believe in evolution or some marriage of the two. And, that's how God and or evolution decided it should be. These bugs carry the trypanosomes.
So there's no other insect or anything that carries it, just these chaga bugs.
Not that I've ever heard of. Now there are 2 or 3 different reduviad bugs that can carry it. They may be slightly different, okay, but they're all the same family. Oh, like first cousins, sort of.
It is scary stuff. Someone said that's scary stuff, and it is. Like, I don't think a lot of people are aware of this. I never heard about it till Cody brought it up. And right now I'm in South Arizona where there's little moisture. I've never seen one here, but I've never looked for one here.
It seems like I know I've seen those bugs somewhere, like in a garden or something somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Brett, someone said South New Mexico. They had them.
Yeah. Like you say, well, that map showed where they've been, where they know they have been. And Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like when people call me and say, "Hey, I got a Chagas bug in my kennel," it's always first thing in the morning.
That's
Do you see
pretty
that?
generally, yes.
Yeah. Yep. Stragglers who didn't go home before the sun came up.
Yeah,
So,
and so that's one thing that's pretty interesting about them too is, I mean, all winter long, and we don't have no cold winters down here at all, but I have not seen one of these bugs for months and months and months, and then the hot weather came and bam, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Looking for moisture? You think it's the moisture, like it gets hot and they're like, time to move and get some moisture?
Well, I think in the wintertime, they hide in cracks and crevices to stay warm because they don't have any, they're not warm blooded. So cold weather kills them. So they're going to, and they like to, if you don't have good clean dog boxes, they'll stay in the folds of the blanket or whatever kind of bedding you got in there. They'll just rest in there. And if they get hungry, oh gosh, here's a dog. Take a quick meal and, but then they start multiplying. When the weather gets warm is when they start multiplying.
Yeah. There you go.
Someone just said they're in their yard in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Catch a bug and send it to me. I'll check it and see if it's infected.
Yeah, if you can catch one and get it in a box or something and mail it to Bob, he can test it.
Does it have to be alive?
It doesn't have to be alive. It's better if it's alive, or get it to me pretty quick. If they dry out too much, then all the goop in their gut turns to powder, and it's hard to you can't recognize anything from that. Yeah, so it's better to.
I am a firm believer that, I mean, there's no doubt, whichever side of the spectrum you're on or what the cause is, that there's no doubt that the last 5 years or more, the winters have not been what they used to be. And I mean, that goes to even Allen in Minnesota, them guys not having any snow to hunt their dogs in anymore. And I'm a firm believer that these warmer winters is what's causing these bugs to start moving north.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah. And, we see the same thing. The other organism, the other disease we deal with, pitheosis, it's a tropical disease. And 30 years ago, we saw it along the Gulf Coast and into Florida. And now I've seen it as far as Minnesota, up the West Coast in Oregon, Washington State. So, and people say, oh, it's climate change, climate warming and all that. I don't know. I think there's a lot of that it goes back and forth and back and forth. You think of that quick, but it could be 100 years or 500 years that the climate swings from one side to the other. And, in my mind, there's no doubt that this would be a healthier planet if we could all the cars and decommission them, but
all of
I drove
7 billion people.
Myself, so
7 billion people driving cars around does not have a positive impact on the planet. There's no doubt about that. But
there's no doubt.
You see all these hottest years since 1903, hottest years since 1858. Well, what caused it in 1858? It wasn't pollution, So I think there's a lot of natural swings.
Well, I think that's what, when they talk about, we're getting off on a sidebar here, but when they talk about, managing game and everything, and that we should, that we should just be observers. What people don't realize is that just like the climate, there's big cycles. And if we can manage the game to keep those cycles from, fluctuating so much, then we all benefit from it. That's why we hunt. I mean, and there's nothing we can do about the climate, but I'm like you said, I think there's big cycles that, probably, I don't even know, every 50 years or something like that. We don't even realize.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well, it's
more.
like the migration of locusts and all that. Some years they're everywhere. Those caterpillars that just show up one year and they're just thousands and thousands. Someone asked, is Lyme's disease and tick somewhat similar?
It's a different organism altogether. I mean, some of the lack of awareness, the lack of recognition, I think is similar, but the disease itself, and it's interesting because Lyme disease also has an allergic immunity has a part in that also. So there's some similarities, but they're not. It's sort of coincidental.
Yeah. There you go, Tyrell. It's all amazing new stuff to me.
No, all I can tell everyone is this, and I know everyone's probably tired of listening to me complain about Chagas, and Chagas. It just kind of freaked me out and it caught me off guard. But this disease has, in my 20-year hound hunting career, this disease has gone from something that I rarely heard about to something that every dog in my kennel has. And I'm just afraid and concerned that 20 years from now it's going to be Chris and Brett and other guys in other parts of the country going, man, 20 years ago, Cody did a podcast about this and we had never heard about it. And now all of our dogs have it too. It's the trend is it's moving y'all's way. And the only way to stop it is with education and working with guys like Bob here to try to do something. And so I really appreciate having Bob on it, and I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Bob. That's
here's something to think about. And I know I don't know about others, but I know in raccoon hunting, there's a I have some friends around here, and they'll load their dogs up on a weekend and go to Wisconsin or to Minnesota or wherever. And if they go to a place where that map says there are those reduviad bugs, and they put those dogs and somebody gives them some kennel spots in their kennel, and the bugs bite those dogs, then what's to keep it from getting started in those places?
Yeah. So, because see, it's kind of a.
So that you won't let your friends come hunting anymore, but you got to be careful.
I got to bug out for just a second.
It's kind of strange because you're not just talking about the dogs being Chagas positive, but you're talking about bugs being Chagas positive. There may be, we don't know, but there may be huge populations of kissing bugs in Arizona, but they don't have the disease yet.
Right.
And so
exactly.
The bugs may be there, the disease is not there yet. And that disease is coming. It's a complicated issue. It's a complicated issue.
Hey, Cody, have you been tested? Have you tested yourself? I mean, it's like prevalent in your kennels. Have you ever been tested for it?
I have not. And the last time Bob came down, I kind of I thought to myself, I'm going to hold my arm out there and tell him, come on, let's go, let's test it. But we haven't. I forgot about it.
Anytime.
It wouldn't hurt to do it, though. It would not hurt to do it.
It's almost like you don't want to know if you have it if you're not having an allergic reaction right now. But if you are, I don't know.
And that may be what makes me do dumb stuff all the time.
Well, you could blame it. Now you got something to blame it on.
In my brain. Yeah.
Why? Yeah. That's a lot of information. That's a lot of information that nobody knows. Like I said, I never knew about it. And it's in my area. It's in the state. I go from North Arizona, which is 6,000 feet, and it snows. So they probably won't thrive there at all. But who's to say I don't pick it up down here in South Arizona, It crawls in a sleeping bag. I go up there, unload my stuff. The next thing you know, in the summertime, it's biting everybody up. I just took all my I took 11 dogs and 2 mules up this weekend,
Yeah.
So, but education, like you said, education.
You can do is you take a dog to the vet for something, you tell that vet, hey, can you pull a blood sample and put it in a purple top vial so I can send it to Bob Glass in Texas. That way he can test it, and because the information is what's gonna crack it eventually.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhat difficult because people have had it for 30 years or longer.
Yeah. One of the things to think about this is, we talk about how 75% of the dogs don't get sick with it, but they still have it. And can they infect a bug? I would say very likely yes, because I can say it doesn't. It seems like it takes the bugs are very good at growing the trypanosomes. Okay, so I think if they just get 1 or 2 from that dog, then that bug can become a full blown transmission.
Man, that's crazy.
Able to transmit.
It's such a meticulous way to do it too. It's not like it's just you sneeze and get it. Like it has to be that bug to bite that dog, and that bug may not even have it, and that dog will give it to the bug, and then that bug starts spreading it. That's crazy.
Yeah,
really crazy.
Yeah,
it's like getting, like you said, it's like getting hit by lightning, and it can happen.
It's just a snowball.
It can happen that quick. Mm-hmm.
I would, like I said, I don't even have a dog right now, but when I'm getting the dog, and when I do, I will test on my dogs. I test them at least once a year, and more likely twice a year, for both of the diseases that we're talking about, or the Chagas disease and the Pythium. Because I've had a dog die from Pythium before I knew what it was. But in looking back, I said, "Oh shit, that's what happened." And so now, and the only way to know is to test.
And then, what are you going to do if your dog tests positive for Chagas?
Well, my dog is going to get that vaccine that I hope works as soon as he walks onto my place. But if he, and then he's probably going to test positive. If the vaccine's working, it's going to make him test positive. But I'll continue to do the blood test on him just to.
I will say this: we don't have, Bob sells the vaccine that's not a Chagas disease vaccine, but he's working on it. But the Pythium vaccine, and he'd have to explain all of that to you. But I will say this: I had dogs dropping like flies, and obviously I came in and got with Bob. He came down. I said, "Give it to every dog." I've not lost another dog since giving it to him. We've had some test positive that weren't positive before. We know they're all positive, but since giving them that Pythium, I have not lost another one. Now, statistically speaking, I shouldn't lose another one, but who knows? I mean, statistically speaking, 20% of them already got sick from it. But in my mind, the stuff's done something, because I haven't lost any more dogs.
Well,
any more questions? Anybody have any questions? You better ask them now.
And you lost 4 in what amount of time?
A few months, less than a year. I lost 1, and then about 6 to 8 months later, I lost 3. How did
you find out that it was Chagas?
I had them tested.
What were their symptoms? What were their symptoms when you lost them? You've said it before, how they acted kind of.
So the first one was sudden death. It was a young dog, and I'm a firm believer that a dog's age plays a role in how the bugs affect them. Uh, it seems to me that the younger dogs seem to be a year and a half old dog seems to be the wake up in the morning and it's laying there dead, versus the 6-year-old dog. I've had more of them get symptoms, get sick. I mean, they look like they're about to have puppies, but they're not bred. They just retain it. In fact, Bob came to my house, took a needle, stuck it in Reba's flank, and I mean, just sucked up 50 cc's of water, basically. They just start retaining fluid like a by God. It's terrible.
And that's part of the allergic reaction. If you get poison ivy and it's on the outside, and all those little blisters and all that liquid's in those, just imagine if your whole inside was like that and you're producing that fluid is part of the inflammatory process.
Yeah. No.
Missy Fix is late, Brett.
What's wrong? She's our number one watcher.
She's always here first. Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to scold her.
Yep. That's a lot of information, Bob. That's a lot of good information for people to make them aware.
Well, you say if anybody has specific questions or, shoot me an email and to the website, to the info@pavlab.com, and then those will be sent to me and we can set up. And if we want to do a telephone call, we can do that. And ask my wife. I'm on the phone usually from about 6 in the morning till 9 or 10 at night. So.
And I'll try to put all that information in the description in this video, because it'll stay up on the channel. So we'll put all that information in there.
All right. Boy, cool. And I would love to get some samples from farther north just to see if we can see any.
So I mean, here you go again. Brett has all of his dogs in his kennels right next to a couple that I brought him.
That's true. Dang it, Cody.
Yeah. I mean, could Jack have had it before I took him? Now he can't give it to your other dogs, but a Chagas bug, a kissing bug could have bit Jack and then got it and then gave it to another dog. I mean, the bugs are there naturally, but that's just another example of, how hard it is to contain.
I'm trying to remember where I know I seen like a bunch of those bugs on something at some point. I mean, was it on horse crap or something, or I just can't remember.
You'll see. I see it here, like I told you earlier about the monkey deal. Vegetable gardens, squash plants. They seem to. You see them. I see them there. Now there are a number of bugs that look very similar. Okay, so I want to study that picture that we had on earlier, and that will know what that looks like. And if you catch one, don't handle it. Rubber gloves, put it in a three Ziploc bags, one inside the other. Treat it as if it could be positive, and it could give it to you. So.
So the best way, if we catch one of those bugs, just ship it as soon as possible. Yes,
just ship it as quick as you can, and I'll look at it as soon as it gets here.
There's nothing you can put it in to try to preserve it that would make it last longer.
Well, what I do a lot of times, and I don't know if I left you any blood tubes, Cody. If I didn't, I should have.
I think you left me a few.
Okay, so those are the best thing. Little plastic test tubes that you collect blood in. pop the stopper off, put the bug in there, put the stopper back on it, and he's protected and you're protected.
Yeah. And
Whatever
also,
you do, don't mash.
If anybody wants to contact me to try to get a hold of Bob, I mean, if something happens or whatever, and you got any questions, anybody's welcome to message me on Facebook, and I can kind of set it up as well. So,
Yeah.
But it's going to take an effort from the hounds community to stop it, and
it's going to take an effort to know how bad it is, outside of South Texas. And that's for me, that's the next step. I mean, if the problem is only south of Austin, then it's not poor Cody, but it's not as bad as if it's 30 or 40 states with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And but it didn't used to be here very bad either. So.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm asked. And they can send you blood samples, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. All the instructions for sending blood samples on the website. It's a form to fill out to send with it. And we would prefer 2 to 3 cc's of blood in a purple top test tube, blood collection tube.
Most of your vets have these. They should all have these.
Yeah. Yep, they should.
Yep.
Guys, I sure appreciate it.
I'm sorry? As I say, if someone goes to the vet and the vet's like, I don't know what you're talking about, they can call me also.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Brett will put all this in the description.
Yeah, I'll do my best to get it all in there tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll remind him 100
questions, Brett, let me know.
Okay. Any more questions?
Sure appreciate it.
I started at 4 this morning, so I'm about to expire.
You're fading.
I started at 2. So.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, thank you very much.
Appreciate
it.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about when I have to take my dogs to the vet here soon, and I might have them draw blood on some of them and have the vet ship you some blood samples or whatever to see if I can get them tested. Now that I think Cody got my dogs infected.
I think he owes you some of them kennels he got over there. Yeah.
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 That's what happened. That happened just about the same time I got Bosco.
Yeah. There you go. Well, Bob, thank you very much, man. I sure appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk. And like you say, anybody needs to get in touch with me, go to the website and we'll get with you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Let's go jaguar hunting.
Let's get out of that depressing.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to die of Chagas talk.
Let's talk
that's
about
depressing. It really is. I asked Cody if he's been tested, and Cody hadn't even tested himself yet.
No, hey, look at him.
No, I when I had this infection on my chest, it was one thing that the infectious disease doctor brought up when I was at the hospital in Houston, and they cut it out, and we ended up not having to go back to her. So, but yeah, probably ought to send him a sample, and as much time as you've been around those dogs,
I wonder if you got a dog that you really don't like, if you can give it Chagas.
It might not affect it though.
Yeah, probably won't. It won't affect those.
Would that be Cole by Chagas?
And we got somebody that is just being an expert in the comments.
I know JT Brandy. He knows what's up.
Who's JT Brandy? You're late. We already had the expert talking for an hour and a half.
Where you from? JT Brandy family?
He's a good
Chaga,
he's just good on Google.
Chagas disease is caused by a blood-borne parasite named Trypanosoma cruzi.
Yes, there is.
This parasite
Robert
affects
Chase.
the cardiovascular system of mammals.
And of all things, it's called the New Mexico Houndsman Association, I believe.
That's original.
Yeah, that's the way we are in New Mexico.
Oh,
Me and
I did read somewhere the other day that there's a study showing that Bravecto, if a Chagas bug bites a dog that's been given Bravecto, that it will kill the Chagas bug.
What is Bravecto?
wow,
It's
That
a flea and tick
heartworm?
preventative.
Oh, okay.
oh,
No, yeah.
Let's go. Okay,
Flea and
guys,
tick
let's
preventative.
change. Let's change. I'm tired of bugs. It's
yeah, it's like talking about lice. Your head starts itching.
yeah, my body itches all over. I'm starting to have
Now I
heart
feel like
pains.
I feel like I have Chagas now. Oh boy, good information,
us
though, guys.
Cody, did you pass out? Oh,
Chagas got him.
Looked like he just fell over.
I have to go
Nevada.
to see the comments. I have to click on the actual live on YouTube. I can't see them on here.
I have to comment on. I have to go to the live and comment. It won't let me comment on Brett's. I think Brett banned me from commenting.
No, I didn't. You can do.
I can't do it no more. Anyways, Google, man, Google's good. That's good information to know that you have someone you can go to straight that works nothing on but on that Chagas.
Yeah, and it's
Brett,
so
how's
weird.
the drive?
It's so weird.
How was the drive, Brett? Long, but I took my time.
Let me tell them about your drive.
Okay.
You had Starlink.
Oof.
That was your favorite part of the whole trip, I think.
It was just and I say this in my last video, and it'll be published tomorrow. It took me a while, but a lot of times I don't like to stay in motel rooms. I think that's a dumb thing when you're just me by myself, traveling to go get a couple mules. Staying in a motel room is stupid. And but usually when I'm looking for a place to camp, I kind of like to find a place that has cell phone service. So, I got the Garmin Messenger where I can message my wife, but it's nice to be able to call and make sure everything's all right, and they can call me. But with that Starlink, all you got to do is have the sky. You just park wherever you want
and some power.
Set that
and some power.
I got power, except my battery. Something happened to my battery in my trailer. I don't know what it was, but
maybe it wasn't charging right or something.
No, it charged. I don't know what was going on. I got to figure that out. But anyway, and that Starlink, you set it up, and you got. Well, you're on Starlink right now, aren't you?
I'm on Starlink, and then Wednesday, you jumped on my live.
Yeah,
and it worked perfect.
Yeah, I was out there in the middle of a big old empty field and just set it up. And
if you was on Wednesday, out of nowhere, Brett's hauling around mules and a horse comes out of nowhere and just starts chewing on his Starlink cable.
I know I had to shoo him off. Anyway, but the drive was long. I camped. I enjoyed it. I never got in a hurry. I did get in a little bit of a hurry the last day because I was hauling those 2 mules back, and there's going to be a whole series of videos on those mules. I decided I'm going to have to become a mule trainer. I despise these mule gurus. These guys who go, oh yeah, this is what you gotta do. You remember? It just drives me crazy. And then you see them when they're riding. There's like 6 of them all riding out together. It's like they got to hold each other's hands. I just don't. There's just one guy online that just drives me crazy. But
yeah,
I'd like to see them get, like that mule some of those mules that sold at that Chrome of the Canyon, whatever. just get a mule that'll just grab his hind end and just
Yeah.
run down through there and drag his butt, catch his left lead, catch his right lead, turn over his hocks, and handle neck rein, be broke at the pole. I mean, those guys that can do that, now they're trainers. These guys that rope a big old dead steer out, mule skinner. But anyway,
you know who did a good job on showing realism on training a mule, and that's probably Clay Newcomb when he's getting thrown around by that mule.
Because he didn't even know nothing. I mean, he wasn't even a mule trainer, but he got it done.
And he did a video on Instagram about trimming up his mule. And as soon as I clicked on that Instagram and I seen he was cutting up a hoof, I said, he's going to get hammered. And sure as shit, they hammered him. Everybody, every keyboard farrier in the world jumped on there and said, you ain't doing it right. And old Clay said, I don't care. I'm doing it how I do it. And he's still walking. So I got a little respect for old Clay Newcomb. Now Brent, he's going to lose my respect.
If you don't get back with us.
If you don't come on Monday, he's supposed to be on our show next Monday. Brent Reeves.
We're gonna boycott that country life.
Yep. That and the whole meat eater, we're gonna just go at it.
Yep. They're gonna lose two listeners.
They're gonna lose me too. I don't know who it is.
Cody will jump right in. Hey, back us up.
Yeah.
Cody.
Experience is the best teacher.
Take us on a jaguar hunt.
Oh,
something probably. How many people in the comment section or that are watching would like to be able to go catch a jaguar somewhere? I bet there's a few. Thumbs up.
I tell you what.
Throw some thumbs up. Everybody who'd like to do that, throw some thumbs up. I got to throw a thumbs up. I don't even know how to do it.
I bet you could sell raffle tickets just to go right along with what's his name? Tony
Rivera.
Just to watch him. And it would be an experience just to sit back and just watch. Cody knows.
From what I understand, well, we just want to go sit back and watch Cody.
Yeah.
Tell us, Cody.
To Cody, all it was a 170-pound bobcat.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. I'd been down in that country quite a bit when I was a kid, and but we went down, and we get up at 2:00 in the morning, and so I'm sure y'all have all seen these jaguar calls made out of old gourds, with the deer skin on.
Pull the horse hair through the.
And one of the guys had one made out of a gallon paint jug. It wasn't even an old gourd. But we'd wake up at 2:00 in the morning and go call around, and we never had a response. And then we went and checked the baits and never had any luck. And finally, just being the South Texas bobcat hunter that I am, I said, guys, let's just turn these dogs loose and start driving down this road, And
one more dog.
The first day, about 11:30, in the morning, turn the dogs loose, start roading. We didn't go 400 yards. And one of the dogs started off to the right. Stocky went in there pretty far, and they went to trailing on it. And pretty soon they got it jumped.
Hold on. Got a question. When they started trailing on it like that, did you know it was a jaguar?
Yes.
You knew it?
Yes.
By the track?
Yeah. We got out. I mean, the dogs started, so we got out and looked, and then we found it. Track.
Okay.
Cody, before you keep going, you said you started calling?
Correct.
What you did you use the gourd or how'd they call?
He said, "Where were you,
Yeah,
Chris?"
the gourd paint can,
Gallon paint
but
can.
same concept. Yeah, just pulling on
Gotcha.
the pulling on that string, and but didn't have any luck, And then, but they started. We found the track. We knew it was uh, a somewhat small jaguar from looking at the tracks, but I also didn't care. I wanted to catch one, and from where we started it, maybe 800 yards, and I could tell by looking at the GPS that they were treed, and I thought they
How
were treed. Come to find out, we drove around it.
how far did you say they
Go
trailed
ahead.
it?
I mean, from where they started it to where they caught it was probably 800 yards.
How did they move it when they start? How long when they first started it? How long did it take them before they got it lined out and started trailing? Right away.
Probably. The dog started right there in the road. It was pretty dry, uh, but yeah, it didn't take long. A minute or two, and they were going.
Did they trail it like a
And
bobcat, or did they trail it like a lion, or was there? Could you tell any difference?
nah, it was. I don't know if there was more than. I know that from tracks that we found later, we knew that there was more than one kitten. So I don't know if both kittens were together and the mama was with them. And we may have been trailing three jaguars, and that's
And
why
pulled
it
up
was
on
so
one.
much scent. Yeah, I don't know, but uh, drove around, and then we realized they were in a cave. They weren't in a tree, and uh, walked down in there, uh, and it was too small of a cat to collar. So we left it in the hole and got the dogs out of there. Fortunately, it was real close, all right there together. And but it was pretty cool all the same.
I
And then
bet.
the next day, same thing. We check the baits, nothing, and about noon, turn these dogs loose. Let's start driving. And again, we go maybe 400 yards, but that day it was misting a little bit, and uh, it was misting just a little bit. So the dogs started. They went in. I walked up there to look at the tracks, and it was sliding track in mud. I think that cat turned off of the road because he heard us driving
Because y'all
down
were
there.
that close.
Yeah, you can't beat a little bit of Cody King luck sometimes. Let me
No,
tell you.
shoot. What the
Yeah,
guy say? I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
exactly right. And but that one was an ordeal. That was a big old Tom, and it was a lot of fun. They're so vocal. It's just absolutely crazy.
Here you go.
Absolutely crazy.
Do you know how to handle a camera? We need another videographer.
Do what? I can't.
He said, I would love to go jaguar hunting. If you guys ever need someone to pack water, hell, I'll take that job just to get out there with you.
Yeah, I'm the worst. I'm the world's worst cameraman. I've got all the gear. I'm going to shoot all of this footage for Brett, and it's going to be so wonderful. And I got it all ready, and two backpacks and all of this stuff, and then a dog barks, and I forget about it all. I just gone.
We
It's
we all do. Every one of us does.
that I'll never forget as long as I live. Them dogs had that big old jaguar bait up in that crevice, and he backed over that tree, and he went to just shaking. The whole tree was just shaking, and he was roaring. And I'll never forget. I looked over there and I went, "Holy shit, Brett's gonna love this!" And I reached and grabbed my phone in my back pocket, and I went, it's on the charger. I said, Brett's gonna kill me. So it we weren't able to get no footage of it, but
When
none
you
the same. It was a cool experience.
when you go back, if I can't make it with you, I'm going to send you a script to follow, and you take that whatever you got a GoPro, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Take that GoPro, and you just got to hit the points. You got to establish where you're at and what you're doing. Hold that sucker out there and talk to that camera so everybody knows. And then whatever dogs you got, what they're doing, and then if you hit a track, what's going on. You just got to keep, just like you got somebody there who's trying to learn, what's going on. That it's just a little person in that camera.
I think
you're telling them.
Cody's afraid he's going to miss all the action if he's holding a camera.
You can do it just like that.
Yeah, one of you guys are gonna have to come. Yeah, I really do try. I think I'll go one. If Brett, we're working on a different collaring program right now. In fact, this one we're working on with Tony trying to get a different collaring program started in a different area. And if I would go do that just so Brett or you or somebody could come down and film it. But yeah, other than that, I've they're mean.
Well, you want to document it. I mean, you caught some, but it's one of those like, you need pictures. You got to have pictures.
Is there anybody down there?
Yeah.
Recording anything, Cody, at all? Or they just go out there all the time, so they're not really?
What do you mean?
Is there anybody down there running cameras like while you guys are out? Any of his guys, Tony's guys?
No, I don't know. I don't know about with Tony, but you mean like trail cameras, like cell phone cameras?
No, like just documenting the whole collaring process. No.
Do they have funding, Cody? Are they getting? What you could do? You say you have bait sites and different things. Those Buckeye cameras don't require a cell service. I used to have them back before they had cell phone cameras. Matter of fact, I still got like 3 or 4, but they send the picture radio from, and you send it to your computer. You got a receiver on your computer, so you can receive the picture from, I forget how far away, but the good thing about them is you can piggyback them. So in other words, you can have them on each ridge or each whatever, and this camera sends the picture to this camera, to this camera, to this camera, and then to your computer. So if you have a laptop with that receiver, you can just go out somewhere where you have access or have radio. You're within radio range of one of those cameras. And
a lot of that depends on where you're at. So, I mean, I've talked to several different people in several different areas down there, about doing some collaring stuff with them, and a lot of it just depends on where you're at. Some of it, where I went last year, we got after one, and there was service there. You could put a regular camera, but the country was just too rough. I mean, that area, the mountains were. Just picture the thickest, nastiest South Texas brush that you've ever seen, and then put that brush on top of the mountains.
Big old rough mountains.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it to where you can't walk. I mean, and there's no cows up in the mountains. I mean, there's no trails. Yeah, I mean, it's just terrible.
So those jaguars, they stick in those mountains and that roughest stuff. Like, is that where they're staying most of the time?
That's where they go. Yeah, those guys. in another place that I went in some bad mountains a few years ago, those guys told me, they said, if it's a mountain lion, it comes down. If it's a jaguar, it goes up. And we caught one of each, and they were absolutely correct. The jaguar went up, and the mountain lion came down. It so
we're still trying to get funding for Brett to go, and there's 80 people here. If everybody just threw in $20, there you go.
I can go. I can.
This is where Brett gets kind of shy, guys.
I don't.
Or sponsors, if anybody wants to sponsor.
Part of it is too, guys, which is what I'm working on now, because I've decided that I will do this again. But the only reason I want to do it is so Brett can film it and publish it. And that's a whole different angle. I mean, most of these guys, they ask you to come down. I mean, they send you paperwork, basically saying no pictures, no internet, no in non-disclosure, basically.
They don't want no publicity.
And and so that's what makes it a different world. But I'm working on it now, letting some people know that, hey, we can do this, and we can get the funding for this, but it's going to be with the stipulation that we can film it, So we'll see what happens.
There's a film on the internet right now by, it's Fur Fish and Game, or Fur, and I don't know. It's something like that. But they're trapping. They got live traps, and they're trapping jaguars and collaring them. And I mean, and of course, when you go to try to make a film like that, it's going to be a little different style than what you'd normally put on YouTube. You want to make it more of a documentary style, where you spend a lot of time and you get a lot more professional footage and stuff, and instead of the faster pace, quick cuts, YouTube style of video.
Yeah, it's not an Instagram post where you're just trying to see how cool you are. It's like you said, documentary.
Yeah, you got to establish, everything a lot better and just do a better job, I would think. Similar, I can put up a video on YouTube and I can get 20, 30,000 views or something, but it's in a YouTube style of video. And the kind of film that I would think would be good for what you're doing, and I'd have to do a little studying to figure out how to do it, would be similar to like Blood Origins puts out. Those documentary type, like that Lionheart. And they put those out on YouTube and they don't get many views. I mean, it just doesn't go over well. It doesn't fit the platform very well. But they haul them around to these festivals and stuff. And, I don't know. It's different. But, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And, it's kind of more about documenting it. Just because there's not just a whole lot of people that have done it and can do it.
Exactly. And you can you can make both kind of with the same footage. I mean, you get the good footage and then you could edit it in such a way that part of it would be good for YouTube, and the other one, for more of a documentary. I can't ever even say that word.
Yeah.
I get it though. There's a lot of Karens on the internet, and it's the same thing they do with mountain lions and bobcats and lynx and bears now.
And they don't care that you're trying to help them. They don't care that you're trying to collar them and put a GPS. I mean, they don't want you to study them. They don't want you to do nothing. They just want you to leave them alone,
Yeah.
And, so no matter what video you make, you're going to piss off a certain percentage of the population,
Yeah.
And with them big cats, it nothing good can come from it.
Yeah. They don't care about the scientific data. They care about their feelings. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so important to have that data on these cats, especially jaguars, that I just don't understand. You know, they collared a couple of them here in Arizona back in the day, and they learned a lot of stuff about them cats. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. The population of them seems to be doing pretty good down there. I think they're getting to be a lot more of them.
I think it's growing
Did
everywhere.
they talk about poaching? Do they have a poaching problem down there with those cats?
No, not really. The only problem they have is with locals poisoning their dead cows.
The ranchers.
You know,
Oh.
one thing that's kind of unique to those jaguars is they, unlike lions, they eat quite a bit of cattle. You know, and you know, some of them poor people down there. I mean, a jaguar come in and eat a cow a week. I mean, that's
That's
devastating.
their life. Yeah.
Devastating. Yeah. And
Do
they have a lot of problems
they-
where guys find a dead cow and pour poison all over the carcass and kill them. You know.
And I'm sure they have no regulation. They probably have some dirty old strychnine from 1970s still down there.
Yeah, you know, there's no
But
telling what they
what's
have.
their depredation on it as far as a nuisance cat? What do they do? Do they try to relocate it, or do they have to dispatch every once in a while?
Yeah, I mean, I think they kill some.
Yeah.
I know the government will pay you for your cow to leave the jaguar alone, but I think they'll only do it so much. And but yeah, it's
And
you know,
what's the population? Do you have those numbers at all?
no, I don't have the slightest clue.
I'd be curious on what the population is on jaguars down there. Do they keep any of that? Have they been kind of keeping track, or do you think
Sure.
they have a number?
I'm sure they have
I'm
population.
sure somebody has a number, and I bet the real number's 10 times more than what they claim it is. if not
Exactly.
more.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
And I think the last thing you're going to get any of those people to do is admit that the population is on the rise. You know,
Yeah.
their livelihoods revolve around a declining population, and but there's just so much country down here. Those Sierra Madre mountains, man. They're just millions and millions of acres that don't even have a road through them. You
Wow.
know, nobody knows what's up in there. I mean, nobody knows.
Is there any?
It's
Or do the cartels get in there?
yeah. The cartels they're everywhere, I guess, but it but
Were you
yeah,
you ever
it's
concerned about that where you were at, or you're in a pretty safe place?
Yeah, most of the places you're going are pretty good. Getting there's kind of the hairy part, and but we didn't have no trouble.
Well, you told me a story one time. Can you share that story again? Is that, or will you get in trouble?
Which depends on which story it is.
The one where you kind of had a little episode.
Oh yeah, I mean I've had cartel. I mean I had them pull me out of the truck one night with machine guns and in my face, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad, and but it was my fault. You know, I was driving down some roads at nighttime that I shouldn't have been driving down at nighttime, and I think I kind of scared them guys as much as they scared me. You know, I was hauling ass down that road in a Army green Jeep Gladiator, and they kind of thought I was military or somebody going through there, and but yeah, I mean they had me on the side of the road for a couple hours. They searched my truck like you wouldn't believe. I mean, they searched those cartel guys searched my truck more than any American customs agent ever has.
What were they looking
I mean,
for?
I don't know. So, I mean, there was literally there was two guys on their backs underneath my truck for more than 30 minutes.
So they thought another cartel or something was getting in their area.
They were convinced that I was maybe running drugs or money or something for someone else. I don't know. You know, I wasn't scared. I was scared shitless for about 2 minutes. You know, once they didn't kill me in the first 2 minutes, I knew they weren't.
Then you're okay.
You know, yeah. You know, I had money in my truck, front seat, back seat, $20 bill here, $5 bill here, $20 in the glove box, $10 in the ashtray. And when they got done with me, that one of them guys walked over and said, "Go to your front seat and count all the cash in your seat." And they had put all my cash together, and I didn't know how much money was there. It was just random money thrown throughout my truck, maybe $60. And I said, "No, I trust you. It's okay." And he said, "No, you count your money." He goes, "I don't want anybody saying we took anything."
They have some honor.
And they didn't want no shit,
Robin Hood.
you know. Yeah, they have, you know, depending on where you're at, but in certain places of Mexico, the cartel guys have a job to do, and they do not want any part of anything outside of that job description. And now you go to other parts of Mexico, and the cartel's job description is to rob any penny they can get off of you. You know, it just depends where you're at. But
I'm sure also in an area like that, I mean, they don't want to do something to somebody that's going to draw too much attention. I mean, if they, you know, did something to some gringo down there, it'd bring too much attention to them and might mess up their little operation.
They shoot an American citizen in that particular area, and the whole county is going to be shut down for drug smuggling for months. It's going to bring so much heat with Border Patrol. And I mean, there is a lot of places in Mexico, the state of Coahuila being one of them, that, I mean, the cartel has a rule that if you do anything to an American, they will kill you.
Really?
I mean, if one of their cartel members was to rob me going down the road, and I told them, and they found out about it, if I called the police and they found out who did it, they would kill them. They don't
want no heat coming down there on them.
No heat at all.
And that's why I tell all the time, you know, everybody's scared of Mexico. There's places in Mexico where you're a hell of a lot safer than you are in Texas or New Mexico, you know.
And probably with the cartel, probably more dangerous to be around the police in some areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's places in Mexico that it's very. I take my wife and daughters deer hunting down there. It's safe. Yeah. And there's places in Mexico that I wouldn't go. But that would be like judging. That would be like someone looking at the murder rate in Chicago and saying, "Oh, America's not a safe country." You know, it's not apples to apples, and it's not.
Yeah, but I wouldn't go to Chicago anyway.
Exactly. You know, you wouldn't go to Chicago. And if you knew the country of Mexico very well, you would know where you could go and where you could not go and stuff like that. But it's beautiful. Yeah. The whole country is beautiful, man.
What kind of facilities do you stay in when you go down there?
I usually stay on a ranch. You know, usually a ranch has an old ranch house somewhere. Sometimes I stay with them old cowboys. Sometimes I stay in my truck. Our camp there at the place we lease in Mexico, you know, it's got a very nice camp. It don't have no power. We run everything off generators, but you know, just little. It's like stepping back in time.
I bet there's some good cowboys back there.
Yeah,
good old fashioned, real deal cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, there's. I go down there and hunt on some of those ranches, and them cowboys leave on horses every morning, and sometimes they won't come back for 2 or 3 days. You know, they'll go check something on the other end of the ranch, or it's pretty. Like I say, it's like going back in time. It's I've been very fortunate to have a lot of fun down there,
I bet.
and hunted a lot of deer, and hunted my hounds, and been fortunate enough to do some some work with universities and the government down there collaring some stuff,
That's cool.
and it's
So
been pretty neat.
when are we going to go north and document you catching a lynx?
I don't know, so but I want to. So basically, in North America, pretty much there's bobcats, ocelots, jaguarundis, mountain lions, and jaguars, and lynx. And I've the pack of dogs that I have now has caught them all except a lynx. And so I gotta find a place to go catch a lynx. I gotta do it. So I don't know where you have to go to catch a lynx, but I hope it's not cold.
It's cold.
It's gonna be cold.
It's
Yeah, I
cold.
hope it's not cold.
I was invited to go years ago with some guys up there somewhere, and I can't remember their names right now. But there was an old man up there too. They wanted me to go interview, and of course,
Where at?
It was up in British Columbia or somewhere in Canada, but I can't. I can't remember this. There was an old man that lived out there who had hounds, and he was kind of like a Dale Lee type guy, and that's all he'd ever done is run his hounds up there. And gosh dang, they got some big old lions up there, and he ran lynx and lions and everything. And they said I could go. They went up there and hunted. They said I could go with them, and then interview this old man. But I couldn't go.
Yeah,
That's a long ways up there.
It's a long ways.
No.
It's that's expensive to do and takes a lot of time. And
yeah. I don't look forward to it, but I think I'm gonna have to.
You
got to
do it.
you got to do it. You got to. Do you have any film of all the other cats you've caught?
No, not really. Some I got some videos of, and I never really, like I say, when you go on some of those expeditions, they're pretty
Careful.
pretty
about what you
intent on
share.
no pictures and stuff like that. But at some point in time, the statute of limitations, as far as all right, what are you going to do? Not invite me no more? When I get to where I don't want to go back, I might let Brett put them up or something. But but yeah, as of now, if you were to put pictures up of those trips, those guys would just never invite you back again.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
The guy said, hook up with Buddy from W. He goes up to. Is this sponsored? Are we sponsored by W, Chris?
If we use this on their podcast, yes.
I think it'd be a good one to use on their podcast.
Yes. So yeah, this one will probably go on W Hunting.
This video is sponsored by W Hunting Supply, where you get all your hound hunting needs. Talk to Jason, and he will fix you right up.
Well, tell him Brett sent you.
Jason just sent me 19 new TT25 collars. So
with the extended batteries.
With the extended batteries, yeah, I just got them in the mail.
Cool. 19?
Yeah, 19.
I only got 10.
One
and I lost.
Dog, Brett.
He had to go take out a second mortgage on his house.
One more dog, you'd had 20.
Yeah.
I only have 10, and I lost my 300i this weekend. I kicked it out of my truck at a gas station.
Yeah, that's
Brand
too
new.
bad.
Brand new.
I got a
I had
300i too.
Well, my buddy stopped
But they had
by and said, "Hey, what's that?"
They had a $200 rebate for your old collars though, so
Yeah.
that was more than half the cost.
Yeah.
Trade in.
Look at who is in
That's
the
how you gotta-
comment section. He's a sorry puke.
Oh, look at him.
Look at this
Who?
sorry puke. We're going to put him
He
in the same
talks-
category as Brent Reeves, where he just stands us up.
He talks so much shit, they're making him dig a septic tank.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Benny.
You talking about Benny?
Yeah, Benny. He's hiding in Arizona somewhere. He's hiding from the law, like always.
Undisclosed location
he's-
as usual.
He says a gringo that speaks Spanish can get along in Mexico. So.
Ándale pues.
Well, guys, I'm fixing to head home. I appreciate y'all having Bob on, letting him get the word out a little bit. Hopefully he can get some, hopefully us as the houndsman community can provide him with enough data and testing stuff that he needs to solve this problem before it gets worse than it already is. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cody, for setting it up. You're the one who set this deal up. So thanks a lot.
And coming on telling us some stories.
Yeah. I always like to hear good Jaguar story.
y'all got to hear the end of a bobcat race from this weekend too. So that was pretty cool.
Yep.
We're good to go.
Yeah. Hashtag or shout out or whatever y'all call it to Dace Atkinson. He was the other guy in that video.
He was the one that said the cat was right there.
Yeah. And,
a locator.
He's squatted right there. So
cool.
Anyways, thanks guys. We'll
Cody,
holler at y'all later.
All right, Cody.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you.
You bet.
Chris?
That was a long one.
Do you have any
good one? That was a lot of information.
Concluders?
Yeah. Hey, Chris Powell mentioned us a lot on his podcast. The Green Jeans one.
We're moving up in the world.
I figured I had to throw a shout out to him.
We're being recognized by the Houndsman XP podcast.
I know. I don't know if it's because we made him mad or said something wrong, but
either way,
he had a good podcast. You know, and we talked a little crap about game wardens when he was on, but he honestly did a good job, even though he's a Green Jeans himself, retired. But he did go into some psychology about being a game warden. I thought was, you know, and I think of my son becoming a game warden, and I'm gonna tell him to listen to that because there is a lot more to it. And I don't want to. I hope he didn't take it when we were talking about bad game wardens and good game wardens, that I was saying there was bad. You know, I mean, there's bad in everybody.
Well, sure there is. They're just people. I mean, they're people like everybody else, and there's some that, I mean, like anything else, good cops, bad cops, good lion hunters, bad lion hunters, good podcasters, bad podcasters.
Yeah. And I don't think we expect any game warden to come up and be your fluffy buddy, but I also don't expect the game warden to come up.
Why not?
Being an asshole.
Why can't they just come up and be a friend?
You can respectfully insert yourself into a situation with authority, but you just got, and like I said, respect is respect. And you always have, and I get it. Law enforcement, you have to be on your guard, right?
Well,
publicity is better.
Maybe I'm confusing it. You don't have to be a buddy, but I mean, everybody needs to be polite.
Respectful,
and have respect for everybody. You know, whether we're a game warden or just a hunter out there trying to hunter hounds or doing whatever, when they approach me, they need to be respectful, and I'll be respectful
Yep.
back. I mean, that's just the way it is, and
And he
respect their
told the
authority.
well, and it goes for both sides. It
Yep.
absolutely goes for both sides. If you walk up and I'm an asshole to you, by all means, you have a right. But he did tell a story that it did kind of hit me a little bit. Is he was talking about they lost a little girl in a lake or a stream. She floated off somehow, and he found her, and she had a little Barney mitten on and a sock, and he had a
Jeez.
2-year-old at home, and that does weigh on you. And the
Sure.
game wardens, what he said in this podcast is, we're not just out there to give you a ticket. They do a lot of other stuff. And so,
Well, yeah,
he's
of
found a lot
course.
of dead bodies, and I think he even throws out 30 a number, and it is. I've been there. I found dead bodies. I've found a lot of dead bodies. I've picked up 80-year-old ladies that's out there for 3 months that dehydrated, like they like put them in a dehydrate, like they were nothing to put in a body bag. And it sucks,
Yeah.
So he does. He says he has that you have that grief, and you do have feelings, and there's a lot more they
Sure.
do, and I get it, but you still don't have to be an asshole, Chris. Just because we ride donkeys don't mean you have to be a ward in your whole
Man, he
life.
just kept rubbing that in.
So yeah, we're gonna make fun of you, and he's out there trying to make some money for Hunt Colorado, and Save the Hunt Colorado. Everybody's trying to help, which everybody should help. I got on there and bought some tickets. And me, I'd rather spend $100 and maybe win a rifle. You get something out of it. So I did that. So just a kind of I think he.
Where do you
I think
go to
he
buy
got on
those
there.
tickets for a rifle?
I think SaveTheHuntColorado.com. SaveTheHuntColorado.com. And it takes you right to that WRCM or whatever it is website. And you can either donate or there's a couple raffles in there. Either get a lion hunt. You can buy a raffle for a lion hunt. So anybody here that wants to go lion hunting, Benny, shut up. Look at him. I'm going to send them game. I know where Benny is. I'll send
He's
them
just out
more
there
than
being
him.
a smart ass.
You know what I mean? So, and I think, I don't know if we were the cause of him doing that podcast where he wanted to really explain. But
That's
he did
what
a good
I heard.
job on it.
I heard it was because of you.
He did say my name and us asking questions. So I wanted to clarify. I'm all about law enforcement, but I'm also all about fair. I'm all about, I guess, fair chase.
Those
so,
are the kind you got to watch out for. The ones who put on this persona.
Yeah. And let me devil's advocate for the bad guy too is, and Chris said this, he said, if you get caught and you're in handcuffs, don't be a little bitch. Okay, but it works both ways.
Don't be a little bitch. What would be a little bitch when you got handcuffs on?
Oh, well, being mad at the warden because you were doing something wrong and got caught.
Oh, yeah. If you're doing something wrong, you might as well just say shit.
But if you can't catch them, it goes same for the warden. Don't be a little bitch. You know what I mean? And he did. He got on there and said there was people he knew doing bad stuff, and he just couldn't catch them. Justin Marks on the
yeah.
With
That's your job, Benny. Get him on.
There you go,
here.
Benny. Hook us up. Give me his number and I'll call him. Spear out him, stomp him. Yeah, I can say what I want, Benny, without his spear. But he did a good job with the game warden thing. I really think he did. So even though our podcast is better than his and stuff, I'll still give a shout out.
Shoot, of course.
Okay,
guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what it is. I just wanted to get that out there. Plus, we have our rendezvous still going on.
Oh, yeah.
Let
me see. Did I
August
post that?
24th. I don't know. August 24th over, and I've already got negative feedback on some people that don't want us there because they're afraid we're going to bring everybody there, but everybody already goes there. And I'm not going there to destroy a country. We're going there just to meet up. So, but I did get a lot of positive kickback too. So we're having it regardless if anybody wants us there. Just come on over. It's not nothing. We're not trying to take over anybody's area.
There it is.
So,
Lions.
I mean,
what? And they're gonna. What are they gonna cook? Like tri-tip? Is that what I heard?
Tri-tips. Yeah, tri-tip steak, $25 a plate. You guys can go to pickandshoveloutfitters.com, reserve it, because there is going to be a limit.
And
we
we
might have some extras if you show up, but
and let's say this right up front. We're not doing this to make any money or anything. We're not.
no,
I mean, that's just the people who are putting this on. It's Casey
they offered it.
Fair. They offered it, and that's what they offer. That's what they charge for cooking. So we're just going just like everybody else is. We're not trying to make any money or nothing off this.
No,
We're
not going to make no money.
We want to meet everybody.
We're just there to sign people's babies. We got a Sharpie. We'll sign babies, boobies, and dog collars. How's that?
All right.
But what else we got? That's it.
Anything.
I don't know what I'm doing Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Go over to Chris's. I don't know what I'm doing Wednesday. When I was out on the road, it was pretty cool because I could jump in and stay because I didn't have any other things. That was neat. Yep. So maybe I'll try again.
You didn't have to have pants on. You didn't have to have pants on out there.
I didn't have any pants on. I don't have pants on right now. What do you mean?
Thanks for showing up late, Missy. That was very disappointing. She's always first one on. Hurt my feelings.
Yeah, no kidding.
What else? That's all we got. We don't got nothing else going on. We were invited back to Douglas.
Yep.
Do that rodeo again next year.
Benny lined us up. They liked Benny so well, they invited all of us back to Earn Your Spurs. Mm-hmm. They want us to be a regular, what would you call us? What are we? A regular sideshow there.
You was a goat roper.
Man, I fell on my ass.
I think that's why they want us back, for entertainment.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You guys have a good night.
Thanks, Chris. And don't forget, Chris has got you. Who do you got on your Wednesday night?
I don't know. I have Ed Barnes was busy. We was going to do a whole Ben Lilly thing. And we've been looking. Somebody emailed me or messaged me and said, I know somebody who hunted with Ben Lilly's relatives in California. Call this guy. So I messaged this guy. He says, well, my son hunted with somebody. So I'm like trying to get hold of that guy. And I sent that to Ed Barnes because he's a Ben Lilly guy. He loves it. And then,
well, he looks like Ben Lilly.
Yes. And I was trying to get Becky Dwyer on to do her neuro tickle the feet. I call it dog tickling.
Hey, I got a litter of pups now that my grandson's been doing that to him every day. Been doing that. I told him, look it up, the Super Dog program. So he's been doing that Super Dog program.
Yeah.
So, and those pups are available.
I just made a good cross, so I hope she takes. So,
right, guys.
Other than that,
hasta luego. Onward and upward. Till next time. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.